The clink of cutlery and the soft hum of conversation filled the dining room as we sat around the long table for our usual family dinner. I had barely settled into my chair when Julie's eyes landed on my dress, the old navy blue one I'd worn too many times, but still kept neat. She didn't even try to hide how her eyes danced across it, like she'd just spotted a roach on a plate. "Wow," she said, flicking her fork against her wine glass like she was announcing a toast. "Vintage, huh? Love how you keep your wardrobe so loyal." Her voice was sweet but sharp. Everyone chuckled. Our parents, her husband, even my own kids looked down awkwardly, unsure if it was a joke or an insult. Julie leaned in, elbows on the table like she was about to spill a juicy secret. "You know, Rachel, I read somewhere that people who live in survival mode tend to hold on to things for comfort. Old clothes, old dreams, old cars." She took a loud sip of her wine, letting the words sting. I smiled tightly and reached for the bowl of rice, keeping my eyes down. Let her talk. It's just noise. Noise can't break you unless you listen. "Oh, and that handbag," she continued, eyes wide with fake admiration. "I had that exact one in—" She paused dramatically, tapping her nails on the table. 2014. You're keeping the classics alive, sis. Iconic." Her husband let out a low chuckle, wiping his mouth with a napkin. "Yeah, Julie loves to hold on to things too, like stories that shouldn't be repeated," he said dryly, shooting her a look that I caught, even if she missed it. Still, she kept going. "But it's cute, really," she said, twirling a spoon like she was stirring tea. "Some people were made for the soft life. First-class flights, spa weekends, shopping trips. Others were made for soft fabric and public transport." Dad snorted into his drink, and Mum swatted his arm playfully. "Julie, stop it! Rachel is trying." Trying. That word. I stared at my plate. The rice looked blurry. My hands were still. My chest was not, but I didn't speak. I didn't roll my eyes. I didn't bite back. Because I was past the point of reacting. I was planning. She thought I was quiet because I had nothing to say, but I was quiet because I had so much to show. Let her laugh now. Dinner would soon taste different. "My name is Rachel. I used to have a good job, stable pay, decent benefits, and a small office that smelled like old paper and cheap coffee. Then the company downsized. And just like that, I was out. No warning, no cushion, just a final paycheck and a pat on the back. Now, I freelance, write, design, take on odd jobs, whatever pays. Some weeks are okay, others feel like I'm dragging my feet through wet cement. I raised 2 kids, alone. Their dad? Long gone. But I'm still here, working, cooking, and showing up at school, functions with a tired smile and secondhand heels. Then there's Julie, my younger sister, though you'd think she was the firstborn with the way everyone dotes on her. She's the kind of woman whose nails are always done, whose hair never frizzes, and whose phone case costs more than my monthly groceries. Julie has never worked a day in her life. She moved straight from our parents' house, where she never washed a single plate, into the arms of a man with more money than patience. Now she floats through life on spa days and shopping sprees. Her job, being beautiful, her skill, spending. Our parents love her. Maybe because she always buys them stuff. New shoes for Mum, wristwatches for Dad, hampers during Easter, and perfume just because it's Tuesday. She walks into family dinners like royalty, arms full of gifts, and they light up like Christmas trees. Me? I bring rice. Or drinks. Sometimes nothing, because diapers and school fees come first. And when Julie throws her little jabs, they laugh like it's just banter, like it's harmless. But it's not. Every 2 weeks, we gather at my parents' house for dinner. It's a tradition, a thing we've done for years. And every time I sit there, swallowing every insult, every smug smile, every eye roll Julie throws my way. If not for that tradition, I'd never sit through it. But I do, because silence isn't weakness. Not anymore. It's a strategy. Some nights I cry in the shower. Not loud, dramatic sobs. Just quiet ones. The kind where your chest shakes, but no sound comes out. I do it there because my kids won't hear. And because by the time I come out, I can smile again. They don't need to know how hard it is. I've sold jewelry I once saved up for, skipped meals so they could eat, said no to school trips and birthdays in fancy parks. Sometimes I'd tell them we were saving for something better, even though I had no idea what that better was. My fridge hums louder than my bank account. Electricity gets cut sometimes. I light candles and tell the kids we're camping. They laugh and believe it. I try to believe it too. Every dinner at our parents' house feels like walking barefoot over glass. Julie sits pretty in her lace dresses and gold necklaces. Her husband's always laughing too loud, like his money bought him permission to mock people. And Julie? Oh, she knows how to make words hurt. Wow, Rachel, are you still driving that car? I thought it gave up already, just like your last job. Or, Mum, Dad, I saw this beautiful school online, but I guess not everyone can afford that kind of quality, right? Their laughter is sharp, like clinking wine glasses, but none of it is funny. One time she compared her designer bag to the backpack I brought in for my daughter. She deserves better, Julie said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Kids should have nice things, too. As if I didn't know that. As if I didn't lie awake at night working to give my kids the world. Our parents just sipped their wine, smiled, and said, Julie really knows how to give good advice. I nodded, said nothing. But something was growing inside me, slowly, quietly. It wasn't anger, not the loud kind. It was a resolve, a decision. I was done letting life kick me around, done letting Julie win. I didn't know how or when, but I promised myself this. One day, I would sit at that table and no one would laugh at me again. While Julie spent her days shopping for new heels and snapping selfies in restaurants she didn't pay for, I worked hard. I woke up before the sun, slept after midnight. I studied how to pitch clients and took writing courses on my old cracked phone, sent out emails that no one replied to at first, then slowly, one client, two, then a few more. I wrote blog posts, product descriptions, newsletters, anything to keep the money coming. Every dollar and cent I made had a plan. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I was building something quietly. The moment my earnings became steady, and honestly better than I'd ever imagined, the first thing I did wasn't for me. It was for my kids. New clothes, proper shoes that didn't talk when they walked, fancy lunch boxes, colorful school bags, new books. The smiles on their faces made every sleepless night worth it. Next, I got a new phone and laptop. Nothing crazy, just strong enough to handle my work better. Then I bought a proper desk and chair. Finally, I didn't have to write hunched over the kitchen table anymore. Still, I said nothing at the dinner table. Julie kept talking, and I let her, but the cracks in her perfect life started to show. First, she stopped appearing in her husband's work trip pictures. Julie never missed those trips. She always posted matching airport outfits and hotel selfies. Now, silence. Then, during one dinner, she looked at my daughter's shoes and smirked. Oh, Rachel's trying now. Look at those shiny shoes. Almost looks like they're real leather. She laughed. Her husband didn't. Instead, he rolled his eyes and muttered, "At least she's trying something." The table went quiet for a second. Julie blinked. Her smile twitched, like she wasn't sure if it was still allowed to be there. I kept my face straight, but inside, I was smiling because I knew something she didn't. Julie's world was wobbling, and I wasn't going to push it over, not yet. I'd just wait. Whispers started floating around, quiet talks between our parents when they thought I wasn't listening. She doesn't travel with him anymore. I heard there was shouting last week. The neighbors even came out. Julie's not posting like she used to. The perfect life she always bragged about, it was cracking like old glass. And me? I just kept working and waiting. The money kept flowing in like steady rain after a long, dry season. It wasn't luck. It was sweat. It was staying up late and pushing past tired eyes. And finally, I was ready. The first thing I did was fix my apartment. I painted the walls, changed the floors, and brought in soft couches that didn't sink when you sat on them. My kids ran from room to room like they were in Disneyland. We even got a new TV, a big one. Then I changed my car. Not to show off. But because the old one kept making noise like it had a cold. This new one? Smooth, black, and clean. It was mine, fully paid for. And now? Now I walk differently. Not out of pride, out of peace. People who never used to notice me started nodding when I passed. The same neighbors who used to whisper whenever I passed now greet me with smiles on their faces. I didn't have to throw words anymore. My life was now speaking. But that didn't mean I kept quiet. Not anymore. At the next dinner, I came dressed in a sleek wine dress and heels that didn't wobble. I had my makeup done. Nothing heavy, just enough to glow. Julie eyed me like I had just stepped into her personal kingdom. She smirked, leaning back in her chair, and said, "Wow. Rachel, you're really dressing up these days. Did you finally find a sponsor?" She added with a sneer, "I heard you got a new car. I guess you went for something in your standard. But hey, I don't blame you. You don't belong to the 1% who can afford luxury. Just don't try to compete with me." I paused, letting her words hang in the air. The room was quiet. I took a slow sip of my drink, never breaking eye contact with her. Then, loud enough for everyone to hear, I said with a calm but biting tone, "At least I earned this car without needing a man." Her smile faltered. It was subtle, but enough for me to see. She quickly turned away, trying to laugh it off, but I could see the tension in her shoulders. Julie's husband smirked. Julie's face froze like someone pressed pause. Summer came. I had promised my kids a vacation for months, and now I could give it to them. We flew out, nothing too loud, just a cozy trip within the country. Just fancy hotels and Disneyland. I didn't flood my feed with photos. Just one or two. Just enough to remind the world that the girl they once looked down on. She was up now. My parents called me during the trip. "When are you coming back?" "We miss the children." "You're doing so well, Rachel. We're proud of you." Me? Rachel? Proud? I almost cried. Meanwhile, Julie's perfect picture was falling apart. The shouting from her house was no longer private. One night, the police came to settle a fight between her and her husband. Word spread fast, but they stayed together. For what? Nobody could tell. The next family dinner felt different. Julie wore a fake smile. She still tried to throw jabs. "Nice dress, Rachel. I saw something like that on sale last week," she said. Before I could respond, my mother gently tapped my hand. "Don't mind her," she said. "Rachel, how was the trip? The kids must have loved it." Julie's smile cracked. She looked like she'd just seen a ghost. Then she tried to turn the conversation to herself. Something about planning a family trip that never happened. That's when her husband stood up. His voice was sharp, tired, fed up. "Julie, just stop. You don't even know when to keep quiet." Gasps filled the table. He reached into his bag and dropped a brown envelope beside her plate. Divorce papers. Julie stared at them. Her mouth hung open. Her hands shook. No one said a word. She looked around, searching for support. Her parents didn't look at her. My parents kept eating slowly as if they didn't see anything. Her husband asked her to sign it, and to quickly move her things out of the house. Julie was humiliated. And worse, she had nothing. No savings, no house, no job, no skills, just the broken pieces of the soft life she once bragged about. I didn't laugh. I didn't smirk. I just looked at her the way she had once looked at me, with quiet power. Because now, the tables had turned. Julie had nowhere else to go. She couldn't move back to her fancy house. Her now ex-husband made sure of that. She couldn't even sell her designer bags. Pride wouldn't let her. So, she returned to the only place left, our parents' house. That same house where she once walked in like a queen. Now she walked around quietly, slippers dragging, eyes down, lips sealed. She became the errand girl, setting the table, pouring water, and clearing plates. Her voice, missing. Her smile, forced. And me? Oh, I came to dinner with my head high and a new dress every time. I have my own car now, my own business, and my own glow. I didn't need to be loud, but I had waited too long for this moment. Julie sat beside me, eyes on her plate. I leaned over and said, just loud enough, Julie, you've always been good at pouring wine. At least now you can do it with class. She froze, but said nothing. Later, as she passed me a bowl of soup, I added, you're getting really good at serving. All that practice being served must have helped. Still no reply. I took it up a notch. Julie, make sure the chicken is soft. You know, like the life you used to live. Even our parents chuckled at that one. I smiled, but deep down, something started to feel off. I was winning, but why did it feel hollow? I brushed it off. This was justice. Right? However, I had gone into the kitchen to grab water. The door was half open and I heard voices. My parents. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but once I heard Julie's name, I couldn't walk away. It was smart, pushing Julie to marry Rich, my father said, his voice low but sure. We always knew Rachel was too soft for that life, my mother added. Julie was our plan B. Shame it backfired, Dad replied with a tired sigh. I stood there, frozen. Their voices faded behind the sound of blood rushing through my ears. My stomach turned. It was never about love. It was never that I wasn't enough. It was a plan, a strategy. All those years, they gave Julie the best. It wasn't because she deserved it. It was because she was their pawn, their ticket to wealth, a sacrifice. They had chosen her to marry Rich, to keep them secure. And me, I was just the extra, the one they didn't bet on. I sank onto the floor, gripping the edge of the cabinet, breathing slow and shaky. For years, I thought Julie had stolen the spotlight, but in truth, she was never holding it. She was just pushed into it. And now that their plan had failed, they were watching me glow. But not out of pride, out of surprise. Who knows what plans they might have for me with my newfound wealth? I felt angry, hurt, sad. Not just for me, but somehow for her, too. Julie wasn't just entitled. She was used, and now we were both left with pieces. I stepped back into the dining room like nothing had happened. Julie was still quietly collecting the empty plates, the same woman who once threw words like knives across this very table. My parents came out of their room smiling widely, their voices bright with pride. Rachel, we're so proud of you, my dad said, clapping my back. You're our shining star now, Mum added, beaming like she had always believed in me. Their words used to mean everything to me. I used to long for them like a child waiting to be seen. But not anymore. I looked at them, both of them. Then turned to Julie, who was standing by the table, her hand frozen over a bowl, eyes low. And then I spoke. Calm, steady, clear. Thanks, I said. But I'm no one's plan anymore. Not plan A, not plan B, and definitely not anyone's backup. Silence fell like a blanket over the room. I looked at Julie, really looked at her. The once loud, smug, glittering woman now looked small. Not in a pitiful way, but in a way that made me see through her. Her eyes met mine, surprised, unsure. I gave a small nod. You deserved better too, I said. She blinked, lips parting like she wanted to say something but couldn't. Instead, she gave the tiniest nod. Like maybe, just maybe, she understood. And then I stood up, kissed my kids on their heads, and said, "Let's go." They skipped happily ahead as we left, chatting about cartoons and homework and what snacks they wanted when we got home. I drove slowly. The evening sun spilled gold across the windshield, soft and warm. I let the windows down a bit. The breeze felt good. I didn't feel angry, sad, or even proud. I just felt free. Free from needing anyone's approval. Free from proving anything. I glanced at my kids in the rearview mirror, laughing, arguing over what movie to watch. That was all the validation I ever needed. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't broken. I was just done playing the game.
If you loved this twist, just wait. There's more where that came from. Watch the next revenge story now and see karma strike again. Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep the stories coming.